Welcome back to Black News Tonight. Before Oprah, before Arsenio, there was Mr. Soul. From 1968 to 1973, Soul was a public television series that offered a celebration of black culture. It was light years ahead of its time. Y'all know what it is if you saw it. Well, HBO Max now has a documentary that covers every bit of this groundbreaking show, and it just premiered on Sunday. Take a look.
Live and in color from New York City, Soul.
I'm Ellis Hazel, producer of Soul, and we are happy to have you with us this evening.
There were so few positive African-American images on television.
We needed to reimagine ourselves on this American landscape.
Do you know who
Yo, this is every day.
Of course you can lie to me. Treat me the same way you would treat him.
I can't treat
You must. You grin at him all day long. Fake it with me.
The documentary is called Mr. Soul, and I am honored to welcome its creators to the show. Joining me now is the executive producer of Mr. Soul, the legendary Blair Underwood. Its producer and director, Melissa Haizlip, and of course, its executive producer, Ron Gillyard, all wonderful, beautiful black people. I'm gonna start with Melissa though. Your uncle Ellis Hazel created Soul, the TV series. As the filmmaker behind this documentary, talk to me about what it was like bringing that work to a whole new generation of people.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us on tonight. It's so wonderful to talk about soul and to bring soul back to the nation. I think we need this kind of inspiration and upliftment and positive black images now more than ever. So it was really exciting to take this really love letter to black culture and to bring it to the screen. It's kind of like the greatest show you've never heard of. Soul was on from 1968 to 1973, but it really launched the careers of many of the African-American icons of the 20th century. And it really shows us when we look back that we've always been excellence. You know, black excellence is a hashtag, but it really means something. And it's so important for us to tell our own stories and to see this birth of black excellence on television. So we were just so excited to make this film about soul music, about our culture, about black joy, and about Ellis Hazel, who's kind of an unsung hero. And yeah, it's been so wonderful to collaborate with these two gentlemen on this wonderful film.
Now, I've been sort of a TV nerd and a culture nerd for a long time, Melissa, so I knew about this, but it seemed like it's a blind spot in so many people's sort of vision. Why did such an amazing treasure get lost in a lot of people's memory?
I think part of it is that we just think of our collective cultural history, our visual history, starting with Soul Train. And it's just important to go back a little bit further and recognize that we're all on the shoulders of giants. So even Soul Train started in 71 and Soul started in 68. And this was a moment, the beginning of public television, the beginning of this expansiveness of black culture. And also, we weren't archiving back then. Nobody understood the power of, keeping things that, especially black culture on television, which hadn't been seen. So I think it's a little bit of a combination of being right before the technological boom and also not recognizing the significance of black culture, even on a live television show. We didn't have VCRs, we didn't have a way to capture film. And so this kind of got lost in that the zeitgeist of not really appreciating the contributions of black culture, but also on public television, which really just cycled through and kept pushing more stuff out there. So recognizing that this was really groundbreaking, that happened after the fact.
Blair, you don't just join anything. You've had a masterful career in my estimation, and you've always been very careful about the roles you take, how you want to stretch yourself artistically, how you want to lend your name to something. You don't just do something because it's going to make money or because it's popular. What made this a project that you wanted to be connected to, both as an executive producer and as a narrator?
Well, Mark, thank you for saying that, brother. Let me just say this. Melissa Haizlip just spoke of black excellence. Speaking of the show Soul, let me speak for a second about the black excellence that is Melissa Haizlip, because that, to answer your question directly, is why I got involved. Twofold. She sent me the trailer she had already finished the film. She had the rough cut. She said, I just need a narrator for this. I saw it and I was blown away because I had that blind spot. I wasn't aware of Soul. Part of it is, Melissa mentioned the technological boom prior to that and many other different reasons, but also because it started on PBS, public television. It wasn't national until later on in that 5-year span. So there are a lot of reasons why a lot of us never saw it, growing up. I grew up in the 60s and 70s. But this young sister, this director, producer, writer has carried this puppy even to this last moment in this last week, getting it on HBO Max. I'm not going to tell too much on you, Melissa, but I just want to say that what you have done to bring this story, this Black excellence of this Black excellence show, you yourself are Black excellence. And because of the content of what the show is, Mark, to answer your question, and because I saw it was helmed and shepherded by Melissa Haizlip with such integrity, I wanted to be a part of it.
Wow. And Ron, Mr. Soul has won at least 19 awards since it first debuted at festivals. Again, that's something we can't sell short. I mean, a lot of people make good stuff. A lot of people make stuff that ain't so hot, but the festival circuit will sometimes tell you how good your art is. I've seen it firsthand. And it seems like people are connecting both at the jury level, right? The judges are loving it, but the people are relating to the content of it as well. Am I right?
Absolutely. And I think that that's a testament to what Melissa said about the content and who Ellis was and what the story is behind it and the discovery. He's this hidden figure. I've been in the music business. I had a 25-year career in the music business, and I never heard of Soul. So it blew me away. But I have to echo Blair. One of the reasons all of these awards come about is because just the love and the care and the stewardship of Melissa. She has guided this thing and guided this project, and it was easy for the rest of us to just fall in line and fall in love with this film the way she did it. It is clear that this was her favorite uncle. It is clear that she was his favorite niece, and she has guided it and told this story with that level of love. And when that much love is poured into something that's that groundbreaking and that good, that's when you start winning awards and doing stuff like that.
Melissa, speaking of love, I mean, your uncle Ellis Hazel was an icon in the LGBTQ plus community. It seems to me that despite the love that he received, despite his extraordinary contributions to the world, he never got his just due. Why?
I think it was a combination of things. And I love what Ron said about hidden figures. There's a way that the world is opening up now and finally really recognizing the contributions of African Americans in the country, not just the history of the country, but the collective political and historic and artistic contributions. And that is a little bit late, but we'll take it. So it's really great that there is this emerging interest and almost like a redressing of history happening in the nation. And I think there are many hidden figures that if we don't tell their story, it's almost the equivalent of erasure. It's really important that we recognize the contributions of African American to this culture and to this country. And the 1619 Project is helping us sort of reset that narrative. And I think of Soul and this film, Mr. Soul, as like a cultural corrective, because it's helping us see who we are, what we've done, and not just how far we've come and how far we have yet to go, but really understanding that we are the creators of so much and always pushing the culture forward. So I think the fact that Ellis Hazel was a little bit of an unsung hero may have had to do with that, the beginnings when no one was really paying attention and no one was ascribing value to Black culture, but he did, and he knew what we had to offer. And he knew what all these artists were bringing to the table. And he knew it was just a matter of time. And now we call that the culture or this idea of the politics of visibility, right? This idea of who do you get to see? And how does that person gain value. And so when you don't get to see Black people and Black artists and Black politicians and activists, it's almost like they don't exist. And so Ellis Hazel created a platform that was not only a vehicle for African American artistry, but a platform for political expression and the fight for social justice. And that was a complexity of Black life that we'd never really seen. And so now I think we can see him as an icon in all that he's done, but we can also have a wonderful opportunity to see all the contributions of the artists.
Absolutely. I just want to tell y'all before I let y'all go that the soundtrack to Soul, I mean, it produced some of the greatest music legends of all time. Gladys Knight, Earth, Wind & Fire, Kool and the Gang, Patti LaBelle. Can y'all promise me that there will be a soundtrack for Mr. Soul? That's all I'm asking. Just a soundtrack.
I can absolutely promise you that there
Blair,
will be a soundtrack for Mr. Soul.
I'm in for it. I'm definitely in for that.
All right.
I can absolutely promise you
asking,
there's a soundtrack for Mr. Soul.
Love it.
Okay. See, I was going to take credit for it, but it sounds like y'all already did it. So that's cool. I'm just happy it's going to happen. Everybody, thank y'all for joining me on Black News tonight. Mr. Soul premiered on HBO Max on August 22nd. Make sure you check it out. I promise you won't be disappointed. Next up, in the digital streets, Daily Show host Trevor Noah took out an ad in today's New York Times. Find out why